In this one, I'm going to talk about the foundation of an AI native business. And it's going to be a little bit similar to the last video, but I'm going to go into more detail on the framework itself, right? And so this is all born from the idea that having a holistic AI strategy, building an event-driven system, building an agentic operating system is more than what most companies come to you asking for, which is like an AI agent, right? And it makes sense because they want the thing that's going to solve the immediate pain point, the agent that's going to book the meeting, draft the docs, or close the loop on certain things, like the agent that's going to schedule appointments for you, right? It's like the tedious things that you're actively doing at work. You're thinking, okay, maybe like an agent can do that. But the truth is, the reason why all of those projects either end up not being as helpful as you might think they could be, or take a little bit longer than you expect, or are more expensive than you expect, or more challenging than you expect, right? Like you can get 80% there and you can see a pathway, but then when it's game time, is it really working for you? Are people actually using it? Are you getting real value out of it? Or is it kind of like sitting on the shelf and like occasionally you use it, but like it requires so much of a fix, so you barely use it and you're not really getting value out of it. It's not the dream state scenario that you're hoping for, which is this thing's actually doing work for us. The truth is, it's because you just cannot build reliable AI agents or AI systems on top of data that is incomplete, not real time, or inaccurate. And then the more layers that you stack on top of this data, whether it be human or automations, right? Humans or automations or agents or whatever, the more layers you stack on top of this, the shakier the whole thing becomes. It becomes this whole garbage in, garbage out concept that everyone knows about, except you're starting to do it at a massive scale. I was talking to some people who work at Uber this weekend, and there's obviously like this big article came out about Uber needing to like figure out their token usage budget because they just like overblew budget massively before even like the middle of the year. And I was hearing about this one guy who's like spent 4 grand in a month of Claude tokens. And some people spend less and some people spend like way more, but this guy spent 4 grand. And now Uber has this policy where it's like, hey, $1,500 a month max on token use. And it's like, okay, you could just slap a budget on folks and say, like, hey, you can only use these number of tokens. But when it gets to like day 20 in a 30-day month, and they run out of tokens, are you going to really expect them to like spend a week working 10 times slower than usual and not using the tokens? Like, would it not be more economical to spend $200 more in tokens so that way they could work at this 10x space like pace that they're working, as opposed to like working at a 10x slower pace without the tokens? It doesn't make sense to just take the tokens away. But you have to have a strategy for how you budget those tokens out, right? The issue with these overblown budgets is because they're building layers on top of a very, very shaky infrastructure, or they just don't have the right data and context pipelines set up to actually be more efficient with their tokens, right? And you would think like Uber, okay, like these guys are super advanced, they probably have it all figured out. They definitely don't, right? And I think this goes along with this what we've been seeing around all of these like failed demos, right? Why are these things so impressive in a demo environment, or even the early days deployed to the team, or maybe a couple of users are using it and it's like really impressive, and they're telling the success story of like, hey, we got to get everybody on this thing, it's like amazing. But then when it really gets into the heat of things, it just isn't quite there, right? People stop using it, people change their minds, like they revert back to their old habits. Why is this, right? Like, why are these things failing? And it's largely because people started with the end state and not the beginning. And this idea of like, okay, you got to make sure your data is all good. Like, obviously, this is like a common idea that people have talked about, but obviously nobody's really even doing much about it, right? Or they're in like an analysis paralysis place, and they're also targeting the wrong area or the wrong like solution or the wrong angle of attack for like solving this problem. They think the data problem is like, okay, we got to just like go through our whole CRM or go through our whole project management software and like clean up all of the data somehow, and then now we have good data. When the reality is the issue was the origination point. It was the point at which the data was inputted into the system to begin with, which is a human task. And notoriously, humans are bad at entering in data into systems. And so this is why we hardly will start with the end state like goal here of like, okay, I want an agent that like generates proposals or whatever. And of course you can, right? And some people come in with a misconception or bad expectations, or maybe not that high criteria of something like working and being production ready or future proof or some kind of platform to like be built on top of for years and years in the future. Maybe they're just coming for a quick fix. In that case, we're not really the team for that. But like if you want to get 80 to 90% there and it's kind of shaky on some data and you don't mind helping it along the way, providing it the context that it needs in certain like edge case scenarios, fine. Build a quick agent. It's really easy to build stuff these days. Like, go ahead and do it. But if you're trying to build an operating system and become an AI native company, that's not going to work long term. It's an extremely brittle environment. And then you're going to start thinking, okay, well, why don't I just start buying, right? Why don't I just buy like a platform that handles this for me? And then you end up with like 30 different platforms you're signed up for, and your token usage goes through the roof. And all of these startups that are basically saying, hey, like we'll subsidize some of the tokens for you. I'm not talking Anthropic and ChatGPT. I'm talking about your YC backed startup that's offering their crap for free, basically. They're going to start raising prices on you because they have to, right? Like it's just not going to work long term. Uh, and so you have to think about this from a foundation setting standpoint first. And so the core of the idea here is always start with the events that occur in the business, because the events are everything. The events hold the data, the events trigger workflows, the events are everything. Like our entire universe is a cause and effect machine, right? So we have to figure out what are the cause points, right? The events. And so an event, simply stated, right, is anything that happens within a business that's worth knowing about or knowing about later. A message, an email. Really, I think it's three. I think it's email, I think it's transcripts from calls or meetings, and I think it is just like internal message, like chat. Like those three things entirely. Mainly because email has gotten uh so core to like internet itself. Like email is like the key. It's like your personal identifier. It really is the key to everything. And that's also where you receive most of your notifications. It's how you do like two-factor authentication. Like email really is like that thing. Like it is the window to each person. It's their house in a way. And so even if like a document gets updated, a lot of times you'll get an email notification for that, right? And then you can do an API call to go pull the document, but like the email will tell you what's going on. And so what you want to do is build a foundation. This is what we do with our framework. We initially build a foundation where we're capturing all of these events. We're contextualizing the data of the event against the existing source of truth platform. So let's say I'm a private equity firm and we need to move our deals down the pipeline, and there's like clear points at which like we move deals down the pipeline, and we just want to like keep track of this in a very simple Excel setup spreadsheet, right? Which is the project that we're doing right now. All of that stuff is happening in their emails, right? And so now they're just forwarding the email to the bot. The bot's reading the documents, understanding where it's at in relation to the record that exists in the Excel sheet, and updating that record accordingly against the rule set that we give it. And obviously, a lot of CRMs out there have discovered this, right? Like they've built in integrations into their platforms that hook into people's emails and allow you to like create records or update records like directly in the inbox. And so CRM, I would say CRMs are probably the most advanced at trying to keep real actual data in the system and have it be accurate, because everything is kind of like projected based on the data that's in the CRM. How much money are we going to make next quarter? What hires do we need to make based on the projections, like, right, based on the pipeline, who's performing well, what are our good accounts? Like the CRM really is kind of like, I would say, the most important platform for almost every business, simply from a business intelligence standpoint. And so a lot of CRMs like HubSpot, Salesforce, whatever, they've already figured this out where it's like, hey, if we could hook into their emails and just like automatically pull that data to our platform, we're going to have better data that the executives are going to be able to use to build reports off of. But for us, when we come in, we like to build those systems ourselves. A lot of times the data will live in a couple different places. To really our database, the master database that the system is built on top of, which is a lot of times a mirror to whatever the source of truth platform is that we're connecting to, right? And then when you start to move from like the sales and you're connecting to the CRM, you're going to project management, then you start to add all of those tables to the master database itself to where it becomes the central hub and ideally over time becomes the source of truth. And then you can start eliminating tech stack, right? People come in excited about eliminating tech stack, but there is a multi-step process to get there. And so the first thing we'll do is we will set up the integration points and set up the pipelines to start capturing these events. And then we'll analyze the event, basically set up a pipeline where, okay, events are coming in. Can we reliably and confidently with an LLM or deterministically match or associate the event with a quote unquote work item. That would be like a deal in a CRM, or it'd be a project in project management software, or it'd be like a case in case management software, right? So first thing we're doing is data capture pipelines, and then we're analyzing the events. What we do after that is start to clean and contextualize it. It kind of goes with the original one. Like it's how we're doing the matching, right? So we want to say, okay, this person said, yeah, 9 a.m. works perfect for me. Okay, well, like, what does that even mean and what is it related to? Oh, okay, it's John at, summit.com, or, summitrentals.com. Okay, is John at summitrentals.com? Does that person exist in our system? Yes, they do. They're associated with the Summit Rentals account. Here's where it's at in the process. And then we're going to read the entire email thread. There's obviously a back and forth conversation trying to get something scheduled. The subject line says like follow up. Okay, so like they are trying to schedule the second call during the sales cycle or sales pipeline. And it's like, okay, fantastic. Let's go ahead and update the CRM with that. And now you can already start to play it out what goes further, right? What are you supposed to do on the follow-up calls, right? Are you supposed to like send an email? Or the agent could just go ahead and like schedule it in the calendar, maybe send some brochure or like nurturing value in an email to John, or whatever, right? You can start to think like, oh, okay, like if we know all of this information about what just happened, there's a slew of things that could be done because we know that information. So I'm kind of not bearing the lead, but that's the lead. I mean, those are the workflows. But the main goal at this initial stage of capturing event, cleaning and contextualizing it against the source of truth platform is to make sure that that source of truth platform actually has accurate real-time data for the human team itself to just continue doing what they're doing, but now they don't have to worry about logging information. And so now their capacity is opened up from that standpoint, and the data in the system is a lot more accurate. Even just that one piece provides immense value for a lot of companies, immense value for a lot of companies. And now it sounds like simple, but a lot of times you need human in the loop, right? And so for the legal case, we are capturing a lot of emails that come through. A lot of times like document attachments or links to download certain case files come through. And part of this is like downloading those documents, reading them, renaming them accordingly, uploading them to the correct case in the case management platform. But sometimes like the system has low confidence when it comes to matching the matter itself. I mean, matching the email itself to like whatever case it's supposed to be matched to, and the document. And so in the little platform that we kind of deploy, there's an inbox, which is mostly where the people live, right? The humans. The humans will live in the inbox for anything that's escalated to them that they need to like review. And so when we're first setting up our classification prompts, how do you like, for the case management, we call it matter classification, right? Each case is like a matter. Sometimes people call them files, like a file is a case, a file, a case, or a matter. It's kind of like all interchangeable. But we have like matter classification. So can we classify which matter this email is associated with? And there's a variety of different ways to do that, but that's what it is, right? And then that's how we test out our prompts. And that's how we test out the validity. We have somebody go in, they're starting to classify as it's coming through. We're updating prompts, we're retesting, updating prompts, retesting, until we get it as dialed as we possibly can to where like, oh, the actual like event ingestion and matching and contextualizing is taken care of, right? Maybe there's a couple of times where like it's that part of it is still getting escalated to a human to review. I mean, hardly ever are you going to be like 100%, but like you can get to like 99.5%. Like you can get pretty damn close. You can assume like, okay, that's taken care of. We're good. We got the data going in. It's doing it reliably. Everyone's happy. And so now that we have a good foundation, we can start to build workflows. And a lot of times, like in the last video, the first workflow we'll build is some kind of like auditing workflow that audits the work that's being done by the humans to make sure things are being checked off in the checklist, right? We like to build a checklist where it's like, okay, all of these things need to get done for every project that we work on. All of these things need to get done. Can we have a workflow that basically daily just goes, runs an audit, checks to see what's been done, checks it off in the checklist, if so, or doesn't, and then sends a report to whoever needs to get the report for the checklist or for the audit. And what that does is it tells us if our data is being synced properly and accurate, because people will very quickly tell you, no, I totally did that, or whatever, right? Or I haven't done that yet, why is it checked off? But the other thing that it does, which is more important, is it gives us a path for building AI systems on top of this data, right? Because we have this checklist. We know that if we could build a system that just checks off all those boxes in the checklist rather than a human doing that, then that's a win, right? That's the whole point. And so that's usually what we'll do. We'll lay the foundation for the data, and then the first workflow will likely be and audit against some kind of checklist based on whatever needs to get done according to the company's parameters, right? So if we have a new deal, there's a certain checklist that you need to execute for each new deal that comes in. If you have a new project, you have a new case, whatever. And so once we're able to do that checklist, we know which workflows to build. And then we just start building workflows. And it's almost like a never ending thing. You just build workflows and keep building workflows and keep building workflows until the company is an AI native company. And I know it sounds really simple. The workflow building in and of itself is the meat and potato. That is like the key. And I go back and forth on the democratization of building workflows, meaning can we set it up in a way where like people on the team can like build their own workflows and add them to the system, right? Because if you could just identify like the event trigger that starts the workflow, you can map out the workflow steps themselves, where human in the loop needs to happen, what context is needed at each node or each step, and then what the endpoint hooks are going to be. Then you have a workflow, then you can build it. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. It's also like more complicated than it sounds. Like you actually have to like architect the individual workflows themselves. Like, okay, we have like all of this data coming in and being contextualized. Maybe we don't need to have like a polling schedule happen on this workflow, right? And so there's a lot of things to consider. So at this point, like I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, okay, we're going to build a platform that allows others to like build workflows and it's just going to be like this free reign workflow building situation. I think there's a lot of problems with that, that I just stated. So for now, we will build the workflows. They'll be hard coded in the system, and then we'll test them out and make sure they're solid, and then deploy them for the people, and then they'll let us know if they're good or bad, and we'll adjust accordingly. And that's how we'll go. But it really all starts with the data being synced properly into the source of truth platform, making the job for the humans easier on day one, and then we start to go and take things off their plate.